Hello, CC3 and iClone users. I am going to show you a very, very fast way to make these maps, all these texture maps, and the texture or the opacity and everything very quickly right inside Blender with using the Hair Tools add-on. I will definitely link that in the description below as well. I would recommend purchasing that if you make hair or textures or both. It's an extremely fast and easy way to make hair. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create all these different maps, the ones that you need for the new Character Creator 3 shader. So first we're gonna, of course, download Hair Tools, and you're gonna open up Blender, and you're gonna click on the Open Baking Scene. And obviously you want to make sure that you save whatever project you're working on, because this will remove the current project and replace it with the baking scene. So then hit OK when you're ready. And then what I would do is I would save this out as a brand new scene. Otherwise, whatever you save will replace the default baking scene. So what I like to do first is I like to create a layout. And we're going to go into our area light, and we're going to make it bigger because, well, actually, you'll see here in a second. Let me go back here. I like to change the size of my baking area to 4096 by 2048. I like to have the large scene here to have more hair textures. So we're going to go back to our light again, and we're going to make sure that it fills this whole area here. Like that. Go back to, actually you can stay in this window here. And then what I like to do is I like to have the first layer start as the more opaque layer and then move its way down to like the more transparent layers. So I like to kind of rearrange this. I do use a few of these. I don't use all of them, but I'll show you here. So I'm going to move this one down here. I'm going to pause this actually while I do this. Okay, so then what I like to do is, obviously this is my own personal preference. You can do whatever you want. You can even create your brand new textures, but these I feel like they're laid out really well when it comes to like the size of the hair strands. They're the default. You know, they come directly with Hair Tool here, and I do feel like they're a good, you know, just the size of the hair strand. So I'm just going to keep these, but just edit them. So let's go back here again. I'm going to copy and paste. Don't duplicate, because then it will edit every one of them. So make sure that you copy and paste to create new ones. And then I'm going to copy and paste this one right here. Move this over here a little bit. You'll see what I'm doing here in a minute. And you can lay this out totally any way you want. I mean, it's really just do whatever you want. It's super simple. So for the first one, I'm going to go into particle edit mode. I'm going to go ahead and edit these particles a little bit to kind of move them around and make them, you know, not so straight, and ignore the background noise. My husband is playing video games and he's being really loud. So hopefully you can't hear him. Strength, size, radius, it's a little bit big. So I'm just going to kind of like move these around a little bit. And then if you go to Tool, Options, you can preserve the strand length and the root, which kind of can be a good idea. Sometimes you might want to change the length if you don't want you know, if you don't want it really like so blunt. You can kind of like move it up a little bit like this. Kind of give it a little bit variety there. And then kind of just play around with it. Sometimes I like to maybe select a couple of the, like some random ones, and then, you know, just move those ones around. And then unselect, and then maybe select a couple more. Pull you up from underneath this vehicle here. And then you can see it's, you know, it's a little bit different than it was, you know. And then you can click on this one, and then we can do the same thing. Kind of just move them around a little bit. Doesn't need a whole lot. And then if the size isn't right, I believe you can just do scale Y. Yeah, and we can scale it a little bit to make it. There you go. And then this one, maybe we can add some more, a little bit more waves to it. So we're gonna go like this. Actually, you know what? We're gonna back up a little, and this is where we're gonna change the preserved strand root or length. I'm sorry, because we don't want it to get shorter. Let's see what that looks like. It's kind of messy. This is just a demonstration, so it's not going to be perfect. Well, let's see what it looks like when we go into the actual texture mode. Yeah, it's not very... I might go back and fix it, but I'm just going to move on for now. So then this one... And then let's go back here. And then you can, of course, start making them a little like less opaque. So that one's starting to get less opaque. This one's definitely less opaque. We want to change it. It's the same as, I mean, it's still pretty similar to this one. So let's see. What if we go into the hair particles? We can go down to children. Or children. Roughness. Get rid of the, and then what if we change randomize 0.5? There we go, kind of added some randomization to it, and we can go back into particle mode and maybe edit this guy a little bit. Oh shit. Already a guy sniping up here. How about that? And we can maybe make it a little bit longer too. Yep. We can make it less opaque actually too. Particle, display 4, S, Y. There's another guy down in their base. That's still a little bit too many particles. Careful, that dude's back. Yep. Careful, there's a guy up here. There's a guy up here, Rich. If you're up here with me. Yeah, I just killed him, and he's So basically, I mean, you can kind of see what I'm doing here, and it's really personal preference on what you do. I mean, moving around the hair and kind of creating your own little custom, hair textures. And then I'm just gonna kind of, you get the gist of it. I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward. So I have one that I created that I had showed you right away in the beginning. Let me just pull that one up really quick here. Okay, so these are the ones that I made prior to the last one. I was kind of just showing you how to get started. And it's not perfect, of course. It was just kind of playing around, trying to get it go through fast. I don't even know if it's going to work or if it's going to look good on actual hair. I might have to play around with it and see. So anyway, in order to get these outputted into your maps, super simple. You literally just go down here. Now, some of these are a little bit, the names don't really mean what they are. For instance, a direction is actually your flow map, and you don't want this flow map. That's like some green. I'm not really sure what that means or what that actually does. It's a green map. It looks kind of like the flow map, but it's green. So the directional map is your flow map. So you need your depth, your direction, random ID mask, your root map, and then if you use a normal map, you can do normal. What I do, because you want to have the padding on, you don't want the padding on the opacity, you just want the padding on the rest of them. So I would select ambient occlusion, and it will show you what it looks like if you click on it. So I can see, and then there's actually you can edit a few properties as well. Let me just go into shader setting, editor here. So for instance, I don't think you can really edit the opacity map, um, or the ambient occlusion, but for opacity, you can actually edit the root randomization. And these are my settings. I don't want to play with them because I don't want it to change. But these are well, I guess I already saved it, so it doesn't really matter. So you can like change the cut size, and it just kind of randomizes your root so they're not, blunt. It's perfect. I mean, it's awesome feature. The normal map looks like this. The root map, you can customize like how much, where if you change this to like 1, for example, or if you change it to 0.5, change this to 1. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so um, you get the gist of it. All these different, they change where the black starts and where the white and the contrast, and it's just customizable. Random ID mask, I don't mess with the values here. I believe they're already set up the way that they should be. Flow map, which I see how it's green. I don't know what that's used for, so I ignore it. Directional map, which we are using as our flow map. And then we got our depth map. And I believe all the settings should be good to go right in Character Creator. So what I would do is I select ambient occlusion, hold shift, and then do your normal, root, random ID, direction, depth, select them all, and then I would go into solid view mode. I believe it's faster on rendering, so otherwise it's kind of rendering it here as well. And then you're going to choose your folder, have like a prefix, make sure your resolution is set to whatever you prefer, quality, format there's only 2 options. And then of course your padding, which you would just do automatic. So now it's going to give you automatic padding on all of those maps that you have selected. When you hit bake hair, it will then bake out your hair, and depending on the size, it can take some time, and obviously your machine too. If you have a pretty powerful computer, it doesn't take long at all. Otherwise, if you're doing like 8K resolution, it can take a while. Um, and then once you're done baking out those maps, then I go into opacity, and I change the padding to fixed and change it to 0. And then I bake out the opacity map, and it bakes it out. I know it's a solid background, but it actually bakes it out into a transparent. So then you would just add your black background into the behind it or whatever. And then you have your opacity map right there. And it bakes it out. You can do diffuse if you really want to. It's the color that is it's just a default color. I don't believe we would be using a diffuse because we're going to be using the color in the new shader, but you can change the color here if you want to try, using um, this diffuse here. But it's kind of fun to play around with, and there's also different types of shader, like the actual different shaders you can use for the particles, but that's a whole different thing. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Now you have all your maps, and you can put them right into the Character Creator and use the new shader, and I believe it works pretty good. I need to test some good hair, make some good hair, and see how it looks. But that is a tutorial, so I would definitely recommend getting hair tools, because I mean you can make textures, but you can also make extremely fast hair. I have tutorials on my YouTube channel of me making hair, so you can definitely watch those. Otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed this, and hopefully it's helpful, and you have a wonderful rest of the day, and have fun with the beta. See you later.